when you grow up in the royal family, especially Andrew, who was spoiled by his mother. Charles is much more sensitive, much more aware and worried about how he appears to the public. Andrew was cosseted. He was the favourite son. And the Queen brought him up to think he could do no wrong.
There are precious few people standing by him, I have to say. As time goes on, more of Andrew's support has sort of melted away, but there is one solid support.
One person has stood by Andrew Mountbatten Windsor through every scandal, every humiliation, and every fall from grace. And it's someone most people wouldn't expect. That person is his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. For decades, their relationship has baffled royal watchers on both sides of the Atlantic. 30 years after their divorce, they were still living under the same roof. Both of them dragged through scandal after scandal, and yet they kept showing up for each other. Even now, with Andrew arrested and stripped of every title he ever held, Ferguson is reportedly being smuggled onto royal grounds in removal vans just to visit him. And to understand how any of this makes sense, you have to go back to where it all started.
She knows she's going to get a lot of criticism for standing by Andrew at the moment, but that's what she does. She's so loyal, and she'll do anything to protect her family.
Princess Diana played matchmaker when she brought Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew together in 1985, and just over a year later they were standing at the altar of Westminster Abbey with 500 million people watching from home. The press nicknamed her Fergie, and couldn't get enough of her in those early days, with some outlets even suggesting she had the same star quality as Diana. Beatrice and Eugenie arrived soon after, and the public saw nothing but royal bliss. The reality was something else entirely. Andrew spent most of his time at sea with the Navy, which left the newlyweds together for roughly 40 days each year over their first half-decade of marriage. They announced their separation in March 1992, and that's when the tabloids struck gold. A photographer with a long lens captured Ferguson topless on a sun lounger in the south of France, while John Bryan, a wealthy American businessman, kissed her toes. The timing couldn't have been worse, as the pictures hit the front pages while Fergie was actually staying with the royal family at Balmoral. The Queen's reaction was swift and unforgiving, and Ferguson was asked to pack her bags and leave Scotland immediately. That incident became one of the most humiliating chapters in what the Queen would later describe as her annus horribilis.
One of the side effects of Andrew standing down from royal life is that he instantly lost a means of earning a living. And all the indications are he will never come back as a working royal.
By 1996,
The divorce went through, and Ferguson would later say it was the most excruciating period she'd ever endured. She told an interviewer without any varnish that divorce wasn't what she wanted, but the royal system left her no choice. Her reasoning was straightforward. She needed to earn a living, and working for money was considered incompatible with being a princess in the House of Windsor. What followed baffled royal watchers for years. Andrew took up residence at Royal Lodge, a sprawling 30-room estate in Windsor Great Park, in 2004, and Fergie quietly moved in alongside him 4 years later. She framed the arrangement as being about their daughters, though she was always cautious about how she phrased things, telling one newspaper she was fortunate to stay there but would never presume to call it her home. They coined the phrase the happiest divorced couple in the world to describe themselves, and Ferguson credited their success to 3 things: communication, compromise, and compassion. Her public support for Andrew only intensified from there. In a 2018 interview, she told the Daily Mail that standing by him was her duty, that she was immensely proud of him, and that their unconventional setup was their version of a fairy tale. That defense became fiercer when the accusations started. Virginia Giuffre went public in 2014 with allegations that Jeffrey Epstein had trafficked her and forced her into sexual encounters with Andrew when she was a teenager. Ferguson didn't hesitate to respond. She appeared on American daytime television in early 2015 and called Andrew one of the finest men she'd ever known, and her closest friend, while dismissing Giuffre's account as salacious fabrications that needed to be stopped immediately.
Andrew stood by Sarah when she was in trouble. He was remarkably patient, and she is now standing by him.
They've created their own isolated world together. Both of them have been through so much scandal that it's become the two of them against everyone else.
all of this played out while both of them were sinking deeper into the Epstein scandal. Ferguson admitted in 2011 that she had accepted £15,000 from Epstein to pay an employee she owed money to, calling it a gigantic error of judgment. A 2011 email revealed years later showed her addressing Epstein as a supreme friend and apologizing for publicly criticizing him. Author Andrew Lowney wrote that a mutual friend claimed Ferguson may have received hundreds of thousands of dollars from the disgraced financier in total, far more than the $15,000 she acknowledged. A royal source put Epstein's view of her bluntly, saying he viewed her as more of a useful idiot who offered him a way into Andrew's good graces. Royal commentators have never quite agreed on why Ferguson stayed so loyal for so long. One commentator described it plainly, calling financial self-interest the heart of the arrangement. Royal expert Phil put it differently, saying they had been welded together by a sort of mutual self-interest and possibly brought out the worst in each other. Duncan Larkham suspected the whole thing might be nothing more than a public relations move.
The final months of 2025 brought everything crashing down. Andrew stepped back from his royal duties in October, and King Charles followed up by officially stripping him of his HRH status and his princely title. Ferguson's Duchess of York title disappeared at the same time, and according to one royal commentator, that title had defined her entire identity and given her access to the world she valued most. By February 2026, Andrew had relocated from Royal Lodge to Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate, and then came his 66th birthday arrest. He was detained on suspicion of misconduct in public office, becoming the first senior royal to be arrested since Charles I in the 17th century. He was released 11 hours later, still under investigation, and Ferguson refused to abandon him even then. Insiders told one magazine that she'd been sneaking in to see him, once hidden inside a moving truck, and another time crouched under a blanket in the footwell of Andrew's vehicle. When William and Catherine discovered these secret visits, they were reportedly livid. There are indications now that something fundamental has changed between them. Ferguson has declined every media request that's come her way, including from BBC Newsnight, smartly avoiding the disastrous interview Andrew gave to that same program years earlier. People close to her say she's been doing a lot of thinking. One royal journalist reported that Ferguson may now be speaking with investigators as a witness rather than acting as Andrew's shield. A source put it bluntly, saying Andrew was always the real target, and Sarah doesn't have the same value as leverage. Someone who knows Ferguson summed up her current position in just 5 words: survival outranks loyalty. For 3 decades, Sarah Ferguson stood beside Andrew through every humiliation and scandal, serving as his defender and improbable partner when everyone else turned their backs. Whether it was genuine love, stubborn loyalty, financial dependence, or some combination that outsiders can't fully grasp, she remained when his entire world crumbled around him. The only thing left to find out is whether the one person who never left has finally decided she's done.